YouTube Shorts are finally 3 minutes in length, except they want us to use more AI for some reason. Meta is going to stop censoring, over moderating our posts, and Australia has just set a terrible precedent for social media policy around the globe. This is the Act 18 show. Hey, I'm Jason, faith-based entrepreneur, marketing geek. Timestamps and sources below, along with a link to today's sponsor, our funnel launch kit. It has our top performing funnel pages, email sequences, and course framework to help you go from idea to sales in just a few days using 100% free software. Check that out in the description below. Now, kicking things off here, we're going to talk about YouTube, and they're finally releasing 3-minute shorts. And a quick note, I do apologize if you hear some background drilling. They just decided to do construction in a hotel room below us, and I got to get this done for you guys. So let's just go ahead and dive in. Now, YouTube did announce that they were going to have shorts up to 3 minutes in length back in November of 2024. But they said it was going to take a while to roll out. And as someone who's been posting shorts longer than 1 minute, I have found myself being very frustrated over the past 30 days because the shorts function has just taken forever to launch, but it is in fact finally here, and I can verify it in my own dashboard. So if you upload a video that's vertical or square to YouTube that's under 3 minutes, it will be counted as a short now. And why are they doing this? Pretty much, I think, just to compete with TikTok. But when it comes to your content strategy, do I think you should change much of anything? Maybe. There's a little asterisk here. So if you're already in the process of taking your long form videos and then chopping them up into shorts, this just makes the whole process so much easier because you don't have to worry about that exact 60-second mark. Now, when it comes to whether or not people actually want to watch longer shorts, it's going to be a year till we find out, right? So as an example, I've spent a ridiculous amount of our own money trying to get shorts to work. And I can say after almost a year and a half of posting shorts, that's taking our long form videos, cutting them up into 60-second clips, the results have just not been worth the time and effort. So if you're thinking about starting to do YouTube shorts in addition to your content, you're probably better off just making another long form or normal form video than creating a bunch of 90-second to 3-minute shorts. I know they're a lot faster and easier to create, but just based upon the data we've seen so far from our own channel, it just is not worth the extra effort. But it is nice to know that it is a lot easier to cut up your longer videos and you don't have to worry about getting to that 60-second mark, which I can tell you was just so annoying. I would actually have different shorts where we would just speed up like the last 10 seconds or something to get it to 59 seconds, just because you're like, I don't know how to get this to only 60 seconds. So the other cool thing too is that this is in line with what you can post on other platforms like TikTok, LinkedIn, and X. So if it's under 3 minutes, you can probably use that video across all of those channels. So pretty cool. But again, if you're not already doing shorts, you should probably just ignore it and keep focusing on your normal long form content. Now, speaking of normal long form content, YouTube is out to help us make better videos, or maybe just more videos. I think better is pretty subjective here, but they are rolling out a new inspiration tab that's going to be under content in your creator studio. Now, I personally don't have this, but I do have the old inspiration tab, so I can show you that in a moment. But essentially what they're going to do here is they're going to look at your channel and they're going to use their AI, and then they're going to suggest video ideas. Now, something that's different about this versus some other tools you might have seen in the past, and the reason why I think this is going to be taken seriously, is there is a save feature, which I'll get to in a moment. Now, as you can see here, there is a very simple dashboard where you essentially click on content, you go to inspiration, and then it will show you a list of recommended videos, or you can give it an idea and ask it to brainstorm. And what's nice about this new tool that's coming is it will actually allow you to not only generate outlines, but also generate multiple tags and multiple thumbnails. Now, AI is quite expensive to run on the back end, so there's got to be some limitation here. I don't think it's going to be unlimited, like you can just run 500 thumbnails in a day or something like that. But it is cool if you aren't already paying for an AI tool. This can probably be helpful. There's an easier, faster way to get ideas that are already validated, but this is a good tool to have if you are still struggling to figure out what to use. But if you're already creating content, I do think this is a distraction. I think the old inspiration tab is more than enough. So I'll show you a quick example here. So inside of your YouTube studio, you have access to this right now. You can go over to Analytics and Inspiration, and it will show you new videos to inspire you. Now, my problem with this is it's showing me a bunch of finance and stock stuff. I talk about marketing and Google ads. So there is a little disconnect here. I think the last time I did a stock market video was 2014. So maybe it's just looking at my first videos and think the whole channel's about that, but I'm not sure. What is cool though, and a great, awesome place to find video ideas, AI or not. And here's an example of some of the thumbnails. Actually, something that was interesting in watching some of their the progression of their updates around this tool is first they started saying, "Hey, this is going to generate your thumbnails." But we can look at these images and go, those aren't YouTube thumbnails. They're backgrounds at best. So now they say thumbnails or backgrounds. I did find that interesting how they've changed their language, because we all know these are not going to be good thumbnails at all. So inside of, again, go to Analytics, Inspiration, and you have a search box option. They'll give you some keywords to start with, but just type in a really broad topic. Like for example, here I type in sales funnel. I like talking about sales funnels. And then hit space. All of the suggestions that come up after the core keyword, these are all video ideas that you should absolutely make. So if I'm doing sales funnel content, I would make a sales funnel video for every single one of these. And the advantage of this old inspiration tool versus the new AI generated one is this is showing you what people are actually looking for now, as in the past 12 to 18 months, right? It's not exact, but it's much better than trying to use AI to generate something completely new or completely different. The experimentation is awesome, but when it comes to creating long-form videos that are going to rank long-term, you want videos based around keywords that have already been proven. And so you can go ahead and search a keyword, and then it will show you a list of videos that it thinks are ranking for or related to the keywords. Now, YouTube doesn't really disclose how they choose what videos show up. Other than I'm just assuming that these are the videos YouTube thinks are the best for that keyword. Because remember, if you go and try and do keyword research on YouTube itself, all the search results are going to be based upon your search history, which means you're not going to actually see the actual videos that are ranking. And I can tell you, just because I've been researching sales funnel keywords for 4.5 years now, these are the videos that normally rank at the top if I were to go to private browsing and turn on a VPN and make sure there's no cookies anywhere to get like the actual search results from YouTube. So while I think it is awesome that we have free AI tools for creating our YouTube videos, I think the old inspiration tab, not necessarily saying videos that inspire you, because these are clearly not a good fit, but using that search function and just basic keyword searches to find consistent keywords that are going to continue to perform for you and your channel long term. So that does it for the YouTube updates for the day. Now we're going to get into something interesting with Meta. So Meta has essentially come out and said, hey, sorry, we over-moderated during some pivotal times in our world history, maybe like the crisis I'm not supposed to say on YouTube, and some other events that were essentially censored, for lack of a better term, on Meta. And so they've come out and said, hey, we're going to not be so strict anymore. I'm not quite sure how this is actually going to play out. And who knows if after these next 4 years, they're just going to go back to doing what they were doing in the past. But what is nice to see is we're finally seeing some of these social media platforms open up and say, hey, maybe we went a little too far in squashing ideas we didn't like or questions that led to things that were unproven, I guess the best way to say it. You can tell I'm still kind of beating around the bush here because YouTube did not come out and say they would stop over moderating. So there's certain keywords you just don't say out loud. But anyway, what I think this is going to mean from a broader perspective with Meta is that when it comes to creating organic content, if for some reason you still are, maybe you can make a few more jokes than you could in the past, right? But in terms of actually running ads, this is definitely not going to affect you at all. Definitely don't take this news if you're running any sort of Facebook ads and go, oh, well, now we can, make that funny joke, or we can push the envelope a little bit. Definitely do not. So whenever you see these types of stories, normally it just applies to content being posted organically by normal users. So we're still walking on eggshells when it comes to what we put in our ads, and probably also what you put on your Facebook page that's associated with your ads account. So while I think this is a good step forward in general for social media, just even if it's a dumb idea, people should be able to share it. But if it is in relation to running ads or creating content for your business, you're probably better off just ignoring this story altogether and still walking on eggshells. If you haven't run Facebook ads, then you're probably like, what are you talking about? But if you've ever run Facebook ads, they are so strict, and like the strangest words or strangest combinations of sentences can get the ad banned, and it is not fun. So while I think this is an awesome news in general, I don't think it's actually going to give us more creative freedom when it comes to creating our ads for Facebook. Now, finally, we have Australia. Now, Australia has come out and they have banned social media for kids under the age of 16. And I'm going to take the controversial stance and say this is ridiculous and unnecessary. Just remember that this is in the context of almost every single social media platform does not allow children under the age of 13 on the platform. And I think that's reasonable. But there are three big issues here. But the quick breakdown, Australia is banning social media for kids under 16 if a social media platform is deemed, I'm not going to say caught, if a social media platform is deemed to have broken this rule somehow, they're going to be fined $49.5 million. This is just getting, I don't know. This just seems ridiculous. Like how much money governments are making off of just fining companies for every other rule under the sun. But we'll get to more on that in a moment. And of course, my big concern, along with others, is the mechanism for how do you verify someone is over the age of 16 without asking for their ID. I'm not quite sure. There's some legal jargon in there. But the main issue that I see here is there is a reasonable circumstances loophole that allows for the use of ID. So the issue necessarily isn't like, oh, is there a mental health problem with kids on social media? Yeah, definitely. There's a mental health problem with people in their 30s too. But the issue is leaving the door open for ID to be used to have a social media account. And of course, the big problem with that is it removes privacy online, right? Like the typical thing is, well, what if you're a political dissident? Or what if you have an opinion that you want to share that you don't want your boss knowing? Like the list goes on and on. Like people should be allowed to share their opinions online without a social media platform knowing exactly who they are. And when it comes to things like running ads or doing some other things on these platforms, they actually do require you to upload ID and prove who you are, right? But if you're just an average person and you just want to post your opinion or comment on a video or a post, you should be able to do that without broadcasting exactly who you are. I don't think this is going to lead to like a social credit system like some of the comments have gone to, but I do think that this is ridiculous and not great for us, especially as business owners, for three reasons. Number one, is this $49 million fine. I know we're not supposed to feel bad for these big social media companies. They're making billions of dollars a year. What's a $49 million to them? It's like $50 to us or something like that. But the point is, these things always trickle down, and I'll get to that in a moment, where they never stay with just the top 1% of income earners or just the top businesses. They always trickle down, and they wind up hurting us or causing us to go through so much mental headache, where we get something like GDPR, where we're supposed to have 3 to 5 checkboxes just to collect someone's email. And so, yes, it's just happening to big billion-dollar businesses, but it will eventually come down. Again, I'll have a couple of historical examples, like the Dodd-Frank Act and income tax. But number two is, I think this is just a kind of a complete disregard for parental rights in general. I think there is this unhealthy trend towards government protect everybody. And then it's kind of taking responsibility off the consumer or the parent. Of course, you can rage at me in the comments all you want because I don't have my own children yet. And sure, we do have restrictions on things like tobacco, alcohol, adult content, some other things, because we do need to recognize that until you're 18, heck, even 21 or 24, brains are still developing. So there does need to be some protection there, and it's important to acknowledge that. However, there's a question of where the responsibility of that protection should be laid. Does it go with the big government or does it go with the parents? So in this particular instance, we're talking about mental health for children. It is important, right? But isn't physical health important also? So are we going to say, hey, kids under 16 can't have candy, can't have soda, can't have donuts because it's terrible, right? So you have this slippery slope where apart from the whole ID problem, which I think this just needs to be squashed immediately, anything that has to do with ID and a social platform needs to never exist. But number two, how do you pick and choose which things are not okay and which things are? I mean, if we're talking about mental health issues, which specifically, let's be real, a lot of it has to do with kids just don't know how many filters in Photoshop is being used on these social media platforms. And so they're looking at themselves and they're going, wow, I don't look like that at all. There must be something wrong with me. Well, no, you're just eating a bunch of candy and seed oils and too many carbohydrates or too many calories or something, right? So then you are picking, essentially governments are picking and choosing, well, we're going to handle this problem, but not that problem, right? And it just leads to a slippery slope where you can always point to another problem or another thing someone should be protected from. And then finally, C here, which is where I will wrap up. The main concern and issue here, apart from the other two arguments, is really it's just you don't want a world where a platform is in a position to ask for your ID just to use it. That's it. These things always start out in a good fashion, like, hey, we want to protect these people, or hey, there's some security risks. We need more power to protect you, right? But it's like protection, and then it keeps eroding that little word called privacy. And just to wrap up here, because I know I've been talking quite a bit on this one, I did have two examples here. I actually looked it up. It's been 111 years. It was like 1913 or something. When income tax in the U.S. was first established. And so and it was actually 1%. If you made over $4,000, it was 1%. And so we fast forward, 10 decades, and now it's, 20% for everybody. And so the point I'm just trying to make is with these types of things, it always sounds good on the surface. I think there's a lot of good intention behind it, but it opens the door to other things behind it that no one wants. I mean, unless you are a politician and you want to control your populace, I guess. Then maybe you want IDs and credit systems and whatnot. But for the majority of us, this is not a great step in the right. It's a step in the wrong direction. So thank you so much for watching. Sincerely hope you got some value out of this one, and the drilling in the background wasn't too bad. Please let me know what you think of this new format. Just a lot of experimenting here in the background, trying to figure out how to get these out to you as quickly and efficiently as possible. And again, link in the description to our funnel launch kit. And we have some pretty exciting updates and news coming soon. So hit that like button, subscribe for more episodes just like this one's and tutorials. And until then, keep building the business you love.